For our next segment, Don and I try to think of all the great people we've been connected to in Metro Detroit. Today's actually an interesting day for Don and I. 20 years ago, we became coworkers, and we've been working together every day. I would say every weekday, but it's pretty much been every day.
It seems like only 19 years ago today. It's 20, really.
For 20 years. And one of the great people we've had the pleasure of being connected with is Dr. Antoine Garibaldi.
Absolutely.
He is the president of the University of Detroit Mercy. He has made as quick of an impact as I think we've seen anybody make in this city coming here from out of town not that long ago. And Dr. Garibaldi, thanks for being here with us on this day.
Well, thanks for inviting me on your anniversary day. 20 years is a long time.
We have dinner and wine planned later.
Okay.
No, we don't.
No, actually, we're going to events tonight.
Okay.
In the PR business, that's what we do at this time of the year.
Yeah.
So thanks for being here. We're going to talk about education. We're going to talk about Detroit. But first, we'll talk about the University of Detroit Mercy, of which you lead. And it sounds like it's a hot school right now. Kids want to be in Detroit for college. How's enrollment applications? It's the time of the year when you can kind of sit back and take a look at that. What's it look like right now?
Thanks very much, Matt, for having me. And I will tell you that this is always a tense time of the year because 17 and 18-year-olds are still trying to make up their minds about which college they're going to go to, so they're driving their parents crazy. Mm-hmm. Very fortunately, we are at a point we've got over 610 students who have already committed for 610 students for next year's freshman class. We are really working at, I said 500. And we're working on a class of 600 students for this coming year. This past year, we had 550 students, which was a significant increase from our previous few years. We've had increases each of the last 3 years. Overall enrollment is 5,100 students. That's also an increase. And one of the things that we did this year is we implemented a tuition reset for this next year's freshman class. And that is something that is really our parents and prospective students have responded very, very well.
What a nice move, too. What a great move in this day and age.
Well, thanks. It's one of those moves that we felt was extremely important, certainly given the need. 1/3 of our students are first-generation college students. There's a lot of competition in the area. We had 5,700 applications this year, which is a 10 to 15% increase. And so students really are looking to come to the city of Detroit to go to school and to work and also to serve the community. So we've been very, very fortunate in that some of the marketing efforts that we have been doing, we have really made sure that students know about our academic programs. The majority of our students are commuters, about 85% of them, but we have room for about 900 students on campus. And we're very pleased that over 55% of our first-year students have been choosing to live on campus, which is a really big deal and makes them get involved in the fabric of the neighborhood as well as in the entire city.
Is that something you've seen change over in the past year, the past couple of years?
I would say probably the last 4 or 5 years. I've been here 7 years at the end of this month, and I have seen students respond to coming to the university because of the fact that they do want to get involved, and that's the kind of feedback that we get from parents. The parents say students want to come because they say Detroit is where the action is, and they want to be a part of the action and the revitalization and the renaissance of the city.
I think it's a big change. I think once upon a time, parents would have sent their kids to a school in an urban environment and said, come home right after class.
Right.
And now
Carpool
the students are saying, this is the experience I want. And with this tuition reset, I think what you've done is you've leveled with the parents and said, forget about the sticker price. This is how much it's really going to cost you. And you've allowed families to make an informed decision. Sounds like that's really paying off.
Well, it is. And we see that in the numbers of applications that we receive. We see them also in the type of applications. I should probably say that the tuition reset goes from $41,000 that we had last year to $28,000. And that is our number from 2008. So it makes a significant difference, a 32% decrease in the tuition. But in terms of actual real costs, we're now more able to compete with our major institutions, which are University of Michigan and Michigan State and also Wayne State to an extent. But by making those, by putting those numbers up there in front, parents can really decide exactly how much it's going to cost for them over the next 4 years. And that same reset occurred also for our freshmen this year, sophomores, juniors, who are going to be into their next advanced years of study.
And it's really a different experience from those other schools. One of the things I've learned since getting to know you and getting to know the school a lot better is the smaller class size. It's such a different experience. And some kids need that, want that.
Absolutely. And I would say that one of the things that I've heard from many parents who've come to the university with their sons and daughters is that they want to know where is the academic support. I don't care how excellent a student is, both from their grade point average or from their ACT or SAT scores. Parents know that when a student goes to college, that they're in a totally different environment, and they need to have some kinds of programs where they can actually get to improve their their time management, ways to plan for classes, how to be able to juggle a schedule. Those are very essential skills for the students at the top of the ACT rung as well as for students in the middle.
You touched on something very important. I think the fact that not only making it more affordable for kids, but making the overall experience better, where they want to be there on campus, and you grow in so many ways there, working with your peers and being right there. You guys are very involved in the revitalization of the local neighborhoods there. Can you talk about that? Because that's a fascinating project.
Sure. Well, first of all, the university has an economic impact of over $340 million on the city of Detroit. And we have a document that is online, and it's the City and Community Impact document, which any of your listeners can go to our website and see that. All of our 7 colleges are extremely involved in the city of Detroit. Our students provide a lot of service, so do our faculty. But the neighborhood development work, which is now known as Live 6 Alliance, is co-founded by the university along with the Kresge Foundation. That is a neighborhood development project that really focuses in on the 6 Mile and Livernois corridor.
Mm-hmm. Which is looking great. If you haven't driven up Livernois, I recommend everybody get off the lodge, drive up Livernois, go all the way to 8 Mile. It's looking really good.
Well, thank you. And it's becoming even more beautiful as springtime finally has arrived, because now we can go and see the medians in the middle of the street and to see the flowers and also see the trees. And a lot of good things are going to be happening this summer with the city's work in the revitalization of the Fitzgerald neighborhood. Mm-hmm. Also, there's the Civic Commons work, as well as a lot of great support from the Knight Foundation and the Kresge Foundation, and J.P. Morgan Chase has contributed some funds to that. But the Neighborhood Alliance, Live 6 Alliance, is really an economic development organization. It is in the process of getting its 501c3 designation. It is going to be a separate entity. I serve as the chair of the board now, and will probably continue while it is a 501c3. But we also have the vice president of the Kresge Foundation, Benjamin Kennedy, on our board, as well as Tasha Tabron from J.P. Morgan Chase. In our work, we have really grown in just 2 years. We now have a staff of 5, where we started with a staff of 1. And now that there are more individuals who are able to work in the Live 6 Alliance, we're able to provide assistance for residents. We're able to provide some opportunities also for individuals who are looking to perhaps invest in that area with some retail establishments. And then we're also doing some things with the community, like every other Saturday, a neighborhood market. And so it gives people from the neighborhood, some of whom who have shops, some of them who are just basically operating as small business owners now, but want to grow to a larger business, to sell some of their wares and to make more people in the neighborhood aware of it. So we're really very, very excited about it. There's going to be a lot of activity. There's going to be a lot of work. And saw the mayor on TV last night and just showcasing some of the neighborhoods and the Fitzgerald Park that is beginning to develop on Prairie and Grove. You'll really be able to see a place where people will be walking. The neighbors will be spending some time there. Kids will be playing.
How wonderful.
Yeah, so it's going to be really very, very exciting when it's all done.
Yeah, the mayor's office has made an initiative to support stable neighborhoods, and where the mayor's office has looked around the city and seen where can they make these 20-minute neighborhoods, if you will, destination spots where people can live and go out to, perhaps Livernois and shop, and make it these little easy walkable communities, and in places where there's also an established institution. And the University of Detroit Mercy is that. How important is it that the school is collaborating within the community and really making this entire area thrive?
Well, it's very important. I appreciate your saying that, because University of Detroit Mercy is 141 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Started in 1877 as University of Detroit. Mercy College started in 1941.
Mm-hmm.
The two institutions came together 28 years ago in 1990. That is what universities do. One of the most important things is for universities to really be integrated into the fabric of the neighborhood. Many people give the Jesuits and the Sisters of Mercy a lot of credit for not leaving the city of Detroit in 1967, when many other schools and many other businesses move out of the area. That has been a very, very stable part of the neighborhood. And I know that individuals whom I speak to, whether they're 55 years old or they're 90 years old, and we have many in those neighborhoods, they are very, very appreciative of that. So we're always looking for ways in which we can expand our efforts rather than just do what we are. So we are not an island to ourselves.
Yeah.
We are really very much an integral part of the neighborhood.
We're talking to Dr. Antoine Garibaldi, the president of the University of Detroit Mercy, and invite you to join in the conversation at 313-778-7600. That's 313-778-7600, 910 AM Superstation. Don Tanner, Matt Friedman, Andre Ashe in guest hosting the Nolan Finley Show. At least the two of us are. Andre's here every day. And you can also watch us on Facebook Live and check us out there, too.
Before we go to a break, one question for you, Doctor. Your endowment is growing. You've got a capital campaign that you launched that's extremely successful. Funds are pouring in, it seems like, to the university. What does that mean for students?
Well, it means a lot for students because much of the funds have been dedicated to scholarships. And so we have a $100 million campaign underway. $84 million has been raised thus far. We've got a little less than 2 years to go on this campaign. It's extremely important. The doubling of the endowment from $26 million when I first came to almost $58 million now is extremely important, because we're really trying to create that bridge for the future. So to your point, Matt, almost 80 new endowed scholarships have been created just in the last 5 years of the program. We have received donations of $21 donations of more than $1 billion from many of our alumni and friends. And I like the way you said pouring in. I wish it were that easy. There's been a lot of strong arming in order to get that. We are very fortunate to have had some very, very successful alumni, and just cannot say how appreciative we are that our alumni are responding in many, many ways. So this fundraising campaign is really going to largely support students. It's going to support faculty, and it's also going to support some of the facilities that we plan to build on the campus.
Wonderful.
Well, it's an investment in education in Detroit, and when we come back, we're going to talk about education in Detroit. Dr. Antoine Garibaldi is, in addition to running the University of Detroit Mercy, one of the leading experts in the country on urban education. Such an important topic in Detroit right now. We're going to talk about that when we come back.
And take a caller.
Yes.
Etta, hold on.
It's the Nolan Finley Show on 910 AM Superstation, the future of radio.
All right, 8:41, Friday morning in Detroit. And that hard-fought week, we're about wrapping it up, so that's a great thing. Don Tanner, Matt Friedman, Nolan Finley Show, and talking our guest in this segment, Dr. Antoine Garibaldi, the president of the University of Detroit Mercy. And we have a couple calls we want to get to, and I want to make sure I have the name right. Is it Dieta or is Dieta? Good morning.
Dieta,
What's on your mind?
Good morning. I am Dieta Wilcoxon. I am a graduate of the University of Detroit, twice an alum, class of 78 and again class of 80. Good morning, Dr. Garibaldi. How are you?
Good morning, Ms. Wilcox.
It's good to hear you on radio. I am so impressed with your leadership. I hung out with you and Dick Vitale, needless to say, during the Sweet 16. That was a fun time.
Oh, wow. You in a crowd of thousands.
Well, I was there when we were winning all of those games, and it was again fun hanging out with you and Dick Vitale. But I wanted to call this morning particularly to congratulate and commend you. It's evident beyond the university campus to see the entranceway that you've reconfigured on McNichols is, my God, it warms my heart. I live right down the street from the university, so I pass it any number of times every day, all day. And to see what you've done to transform the feeling and the sense of connectedness to the university district, golf course, Palmer Woods, Sherwood Forest is just magnificent. You're to be commended on that. And to reset tuition rates, I think, is a compliment to your leadership as well. I went to the university when we paid through the nose. So to be more engaging and to open up to people who are not as good as struggling as I was, I think is, again, a compliment to your leadership. I was going to send you a card to say all of these things, but I got the opportunity to say it on live radio, so I thought I'd say it on 910 AM Superstation.
Well, thank you very much appreciated. All of the things that you said really are part of the investments that we think are important for the university to provide. And as you talk about the new entrance on McNichols, one of the things that many people don't realize, and you would because you live in the neighborhood, is that our campus is open on a daily basis to many individuals from the community who walk our track, many people who use our library and other resources around the campus community. And that's part of what I was saying to Andre a little while ago, that is the role of a university. And so we're trying to do that in many ways and make it possible for many other young people to come and get an education.
And you do it so well. Dieta, thank you for the call. We have Esprit on the line at 910 AM Superstation with Dr. Antoine Garibaldi from University of Detroit Mercy. Good morning.
Good morning, and good morning, Dr. Garibaldi. If I mispronounce your name, I'm sorry. But I want to say that the University of Detroit has been a beacon light in terms of that community. And one of the things that historically the University of Detroit did was it had urban programs housed at the university for the summer. Take, for instance, the summer program. They had, this goes way, way back, street program where kids from the community can come and practically go to summer school, but it was on their level of learning. And I was wondering, is the university, since you're dealing with an urban sort of mindset, are they going to have more programs such as that to strengthen the community?
Well, thank you very much for that. And Hard G is the last name, so just Garibaldi, as my wife likes to say, it's Gary with an I and Baldi with an I. I appreciate your comments, and it's right on time because we have a number of summer programs for young people. We are still the host of DAPSEP programs during the school year. So you'll see many individuals coming on Saturday mornings, dropping off grandchildren and their children, taking part in some of those classes that we have on campus. But during the summertime, we have some enrichment programs for young people in terms of English preparation. There's some in reading. If you go to our website, there is a link there. But more importantly, one of the things that we are doing this year and that we're really so excited about is we tried a couple of times to get an Upward Bound program. So last year, we were one of the fortunate recipients of the competitive Upward Bound program. And I say that because this coming summer, we will have students in those programs from Osborne High School and Frederick Douglass Academy for Young Men. Those were the two schools that we submitted our proposal to the Department of Education. It's a 5-year program. There are other universities in the area that have upward bound programs. But I really started out in upward bound programs my first summer out of college in Minnesota. My sister was the associate director of an upward bound program back at McAllister College when she was the counselor in the schools. Every place that I have been, from Gannon University, Howard University, Xavier University, had an upward bound program. And we now have our first upward bound program. It's funded at about $300,000 over 5 years. We are really looking forward to those 60 young men coming to our programs this summer. And Pamela Todd is the director of the program. So that is one program. But we have probably about 4 or 5 other programs that are on campus. And then our athletics program also provides lots of summer programs in terms of just preparations, whether it's basketball, soccer, and other sports. So, yes, it is an active campus during the summertime for sure.
Esprey, thanks for your call. We appreciate it. Have a great weekend.
And and speaking of sports and having a very active program, certainly the basketball season for the school just ended recently, and certainly we'll be remiss if we didn't mention our very late Cliff Russell, which
Absolutely.
was a very great partner, and the school again serves as an institution, but also we broadcasted those games here with the station, and Cliff Russell was a great part of that. So we'll miss him indeed, but certainly the basketball program continues, and we look forward to that partnership moving forward.
Well, that's right, and we look forward to it too. Cliff was just absolutely fantastic. His brother Greg is a graduate of the university. Mm-hmm. Over those 2 years that Cliff was doing the games, I mean, I told him I just would miss him, and he was as dedicated to the university as he was to his alma mater, Wayne State. So, yes, we do. And
we all tip our hats.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cliff also was an educator in Detroit for a time, a broadcast educator. And I want to talk a little bit about education. Dr. Garibaldi will be modest about this, but if you look at his peers and the university presidents around the state, we have a couple of doctors, MD doctors, and we have now a former governor who's the president of the university. Dr. Garibaldi is a professional educator, former teacher, former administrator at the street level, really, in cities. And your research, Dr. Garibaldi, has focused a lot on urban education, particularly of African-American males. In the city of Detroit now, I think everybody talks about, as they should, fix the schools. And Dr. Vitti was brought in to lead the public school district in its new way of being constituted, and it's been now almost a year. We could talk about this all morning, but just in a quick snapshot, where do you think we are versus where we need to be?
Well, I believe that we're moving in the right direction. And coincidentally, Matt, and you are not aware of this, that later on this afternoon I have a meeting with Superintendent Vitti. Oh, wow. We have seen each other often during the year, and I said I wanted to wait until he had a good close to a year under his belt before we sat down and talked about
we have some breaking news here.
Yeah,
heard it here first.
Where we might be able to get together and to do a few more things together.
That's a lot of expertise in one room.
That is.
Yeah, well, thank you. You're very kind. You're very kind. Well, his experience in Jacksonville, as well as other places that he has been, as well as the education that he's received in urban education, and being from this area, I would think are all assets. He went in and he focused in on important items like working with parents and also making sure that individuals knew that their schools were safe and are being educated. I was the chairman of the education program for 7 years at Xavier University in New Orleans. I continue to be very involved as an educational psychologist in this work. But my first job was at the U.S. Department of Education. Before it was the U.S. Department of Education, it was a part of HEW, and it was then called the Office of Education. That was 1977 to 1982, and we were the research agency. But I say that to say that in those years that I was there, I worked with so many Detroiters who came and often told me about what was going on in Detroit. Detroit was the premier urban school district in this country during a change of lots of change, integration, and lots of other serious issues. And past Superintendent Art Jefferson was the person who typically spoke at many of those. I think that Dr. Vitti is putting his his goals all in the right place, so much so that even just a quick response of having an increased enrollment on the part of the schools, that more students are coming back. There's a need for teachers, which is really great also. And those kinds of things are extremely important to make sure that people know that the emphasis is being placed on the academics, and that these are the kinds of things that people want when they are sending their sons and daughters to school. So I would like what the school board is doing also. There's clearly a collaborative relationship there between the superintendent. He has a number of people in some very significant places in terms of running the school district, and I expect that there's going to be an increased enrollment this coming year as well. He knows where the problems are, and I believe that he and his team are going to fix them. So I am very, very encouraged about his leadership, and we want to be a part of that in lots of different kinds of ways. For example, we, for years, have been providing a partnership with the schools for our School of Dentistry. And so we have our Titan Mobile that goes around and helps young people with taking care of their teeth and the like. These are the kinds of things that parents can't do on a regular basis, leave their work and go to a school. I can say the same things about our School of Nursing as well, too. So all of those programs, from health professions to business, our School of Architecture works along with schools, introducing students to what the field of architecture is like, and we're happy that many of our alumni are graduates of the Detroit Public Schools and can really go in and talk to those students about that.
One more thing we want to ask you about. You talk about the Titan Mobile bringing the university to the community.
Excuse me.
You're going to be bringing the community to the university at the end of September with a homecoming, 28th and 29th. What should the community know about that and get on the calendar?
Well, the community should know that we're going to be doing a lot of things right within the neighborhood. We want all of our alumni to come out. Probably half of our 87,000 alumni are from the state of Michigan, and a lot of them are right here from this area. So we really want them to come out. It's the last Friday and Saturday of the year. We have lots of activities, not just for the alumni, but we also have an opportunity to really showcase some of the things that the schools and colleges, the faculty and students and staff have been doing over the last few years in the community. So it's really a way to really get integrated in that. So we've got lots of games and lots of opportunities for people to come back and show their old pictures when they had a lot of hair on their head. And for those of us who are, who are
a little less gray.
Yeah, a little less gray. We can talk about those kinds of things too. But it really is a celebration of the university and our three campuses in Corktown, the dental school, and also the law school down on Jefferson Avenue, as well as the McNichols and Livernois location.
Well, terrific.
Fantastic.
Great to have you here for two segments. We could do more because there's so much going on at the University of Detroit, Mercy, and in the city of Detroit. Dr. Antoine Garibaldi, as I mentioned, one of the great people who's been a part of our network in the 20 years that Don and I have been working together. Great to have you a part of things the last few years, and looking forward to seeing you on Mackinac Island in a few weeks.
Absolutely. I'll be there. Thanks so much for inviting me.
Thank you. Thank you.